Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Livelong podcast, where we are going to discuss how to live a longer and better life. So, my name is Erin Hunter, and I am the senior editor here at Livelong Media. I'm very excited because today we are joined by Ursula James. She is an acclaimed clinical hypnotherapist. She's done this for 3 decades, if not more. She's the author of the Clinical Hypnosis textbook and the host of the Hypno SOS and Hypno Sleep podcasts. So when I asked her why she does hypnotherapy, the answer is simple. She says because it works. So I'm assuming, and I think we'll all learn, it's not just a person hanging something in front of your face saying you will get sleepy. There's a science behind it, and we are going to dive into the impact it'll have on aging and longevity and helping you to live a better quality life. And real quick, I just want to mention we've got our Livelong Summit coming up, our Livelong Women's Health Summit. So please click the link that we're going to provide because we want as many women there and as many voices as possible to promote women's longevity and health for everyone. But without further ado, I am here to welcome Ursula to the show. Thank you for
Hi,
coming.
Erin. How are you?
I am doing amazing. And we touched on this a little bit right before we started, but I've actually used a hypnotherapy app before during the pandemic because trouble sleeping. And I'm not gonna lie, I came in skeptical but excited because, it seems woo, right? When you think about someone
Yeah.
doing a magic trick on a stage, but it genuinely helped me sleep. I mean, there was no bigger blessing than just being able to shut my eyes and turn my brain off. So
Mm.
to open that in our conversation, can you talk about how clinical hypnotherapy and hypnosis differs from what we see in a magic show and what people perform on stage?
Okay. Well, first of all, what do you see in a magic show? What do you see on stage? That's a performance. But with hypnosis, when it's used in a medical or a clinical setting, it's very much about enhancing a perfectly natural state and using that state for something that you want. Just to give you a little example, we go in and out of different states all the way through the day. And there are two times a day we enter a hypnotic state. And the first one is in those moments before you're fully awake. You know, you're lying in bed, you think to yourself, oh, I'm just going to get up in a minute. Essentially, your body's still asleep, but your mind's awake. And in that state, you are incredibly receptive. Now, if the first thing you say to yourself in the morning is, oh, it's going to be a really tough day, that's the mood you take into the day with you. But if in that state, instead, you say to yourself, do you know, today I'm going to be kind to myself, or today I'm going to look for things that give me joy, you are actually doing a self hypnosis. And at the end of the day, in those moments between waking and sleeping, when we kind of review the day a little bit, and sometimes we can get hooked onto the negative side of things, if you say to yourself, do you know what? I'm just going to look back on the day and there was something nice that happened. And remember that, you then take that into your sleep and you process that. And that means that the way that you process whatever has happened to you during the day has a positive spin. So hypnosis is an essentially a natural state, but when you work with a clinical hypnosis practitioner, they help you refine that to decide exactly what it is you want, how you want to be able to do it, and what your capabilities are. Do you know something? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you two questions,
Go for it.
and they're relevant. Okay. So the first one is, Erin, do you like yourself? Okay. Yes?
Work in progress. I think,
Okay, that's fine.
yeah.
That's perfectly good. There is no right answer. Okay. The second question, a little more challenging. Do you love yourself?
Work in progress.
Okay, again, perfectly valid question. Now, I know you didn't expect that, but the reason I asked you those questions is if you don't like yourself, if you don't love yourself, you will not do the things that will help you age well, help you have a good life, help you be positive. So the trouble is, we know it all. We know what we should be doing. We read lots of books. We take information in. Do you know how many people, and it would be interesting to know actually, how many people buy, for example, some vitamins and then never take them, or they
Oh my
get
gosh,
some
that's
exercise.
me though. I'm not gonna lie, and maybe other people here, I know other people in this community have done the same because you do it for the sake of doing it. Like,
Yeah, and that's primarily because you think that's the first step. I've taken the first step. Yeah. And then it goes in the cupboard, and then a few months later you look and you think, well, why did I buy that? Or a piece of exercise equipment or whatever it might be. So anything we do, whether it's something we take or a regime we get involved in, or new research that comes out, you are not going to action it if you don't answer those two questions that I asked you with the answer, yes, I like myself. And the second one is, I love myself. Now, it's interesting, even me saying that phrase, some people find quite challenging because they go, oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure I could say those words. But actually, if you don't, you're not going to take the positive steps that you already know you can take to get a better life.
okay, so one thing I am curious about is those who maybe they don't answer the questions with emphatic yes, oh my God, like and love both of them. But what if they do all the healthy habits out of willpower? Is there a problem with willpower from a hypnosis?
Willpower's great, great statement because willpower is fantastic. But if you're tired, if other things get in the way, willpower isn't enough. Willpower is a conscious process. What you need are automatic functions. What you need are habits. What you need are rituals that you don't even think about to do because you put yourself in there as a priority. Now, this is where hypnosis comes in. It helps you answer those two questions to the best of your abilities at this moment in time. And what I mean by that is you're not going to go, yeah, I love myself, or yeah, I like myself, but you're going to move closer towards being able to answer those in a way that works for you at this moment in time.
So, from my understanding, as we're talking, hypnosis helps with mindset and perspective shifting, and it
Yeah,
helps with consistency. So when you
absolutely.
compound those two together, the idea is the healthy habits we read about all the time, we're told, are easier and they become more habitual to
Yeah,
implement
absolutely.
because you have those.
They become something that you own. It's not something you do, it's something you be. You become the person who every morning has a walk or meditates or whatever it is. So you've got those two very basic things, two very basic questions, and hypnosis is fantastic for helping you with your confidence. But then there are three other things that you need to put in place that really get it moving. And the first one is focus. Hypnosis will help you focus on what you need to do. The second is confidence. Confidence to actually do it. Whether it's, I don't know, the first time I walked into a gym, I didn't know where anything was. I didn't know how to work the equipment. But confidence means that you will go in, you'll ask questions, you'll find your comfortable place, as it were. So focus, confidence, and the last one is motivation. So what is it you want to do?
And you would ask, so as the practitioner you would ask the patient what you want. This is
Yeah,
part of the reason, like, why are you here, what do you want? Because hypnosis will help you get see
yeah.
the vision and actualize the vision.
The interesting thing about what you said there is I would never ask somebody why. Because if you ask somebody why they're not doing it, they will always give you a reason because we're really good at rationalizing. So, which is why we focus on the objective. What do you want to get out of it? If you say to yourself, I want to be as healthy as I possibly can, then it's so much easier to take the vitamins, to do the exercise, to act upon all the things that you know already. This is why I use that word. This is why people who, for example, get very ill and then recover, or they have a near-death experience, or somebody near to them, close to them dies, they suddenly go, no, I'm taking charge now. Because they
Mhm.
get that little bit of a shock to the system that says, that's the why. I want to be able to go and move on and do things positive for myself.
Okay, so one thing based off of everything we're talking about, I'm curious, what is the difference then between hypnosis for healthy aging and going to a psychologist and figuring out some of these underlying patterns as well? Is there a difference in how effectively someone might get outcomes for actually achieving their goals, or even someone going to see a nutritionist? When would they choose to see the hypnotherapist versus when they would see the nutritionist?
It's a
Because
really interesting question because, yes, you have to have the information. So, for example, with the nutritionist, and for example, if you go and see a psychotherapist, if you really feel you need to know why you have certain patterns, then of course, go to somebody where you can have counseling, where you can have that dialogue. But when it comes to the point where you go, well, I know who I am, and I've got a very good idea of what I should be doing, I'm quite well informed, but I'm still not doing it. And that's where hypnosis comes in, because when you're in a hypnotic state, your body's relaxed, you're receptive to the positive suggestions that are being made, and you make the connection on a much deeper, more profound level.
can you walk me through how that works in context?
So, in terms of a session,
Yeah, let's say I am, okay, let's say my goal is I want to gain 7 pounds of muscle. I want to get strong and I want to clean up my diet a bit. It's for my family. Let's say I'm really busy in my life and I just can't find the time to do what I need to do, even though I know I need to do it. And I fall for all the shiny objects. I come to you. I say, Dr. Ursula or Professor Ursula, because you're a retired professor and you are clinical. What? Okay, I need your help. I need help. How does that look?
what's very interesting, immediately I picked up on one thing. You said, well, I don't have the time to do it. Yeah, you do. You've got the time. You've got the time. You just haven't made the time because I refer you to my first two statements. You don't like yourself enough. You don't love yourself enough. And once you've got that, you will make that time. So I already recognize that some of the suggestions I need to put into that hypnosis are about you being kinder to yourself and about making time for you as an individual. Also, I would talk you through the other aspects of your life, and then going from that, I'd actually look at your objective. Now, I know you're a very visual person because I can see that where your eye movements are going, and I recognize that we need to build a picture of that person who has achieved that objective. So let's take you beyond all the hard work and into the time when you've already got what you want. So, what do you look like? What's around you? And then I'd add different senses. How are you feeling? What are you hearing? And we build a picture. Now, that picture, that visual image, is called an artificial neurosis. Now, I know we've got plenty already, but the artificial neurosis means I'm putting something in place that is not yet real, that you will then start to work towards to make it real, to reduce the anxiety of it being an unreal image. So, what happens as you work closer towards it, you become more calm. As you work closer towards it, you become more confident. As you work closer towards it, you become more focused. It becomes you. So putting an image in place, whether that's visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, is really, really important. So it's very objective driven.
Because it almost it almost reminds me of the statement, if you see it, you can believe it. So
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
see the person you want to become, you're more motivated to get there because it feels visceral. It feels like it's
Completely.
possible. Like it's hopeful almost. So you're helping people get hope by seeing it even though it doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, I'm giving you belief in yourself and in that future version of who you are going to be by taking you beyond everything that you need to do in order to get there. Because I would also work very practically on, what's your time frame, when you're going to be doing this, what are you going to be doing. So it's about the practicalities. Again, these things tend to fall into threes. There's the where you are now, the starting point. It's
Mhm.
called the first step. There is the process. What do you need to do in order to get to your future? And there's the last thing, the objective, the goal. Now, I don't take you to the goal, I take you beyond it because there's always a tomorrow. Say, for example, you said to me, well, I want to write a book. Do you want to write a book? Are you going to write a book? I'm asking you that question.
Um, Actually, in all sincerity, I would one day. Yeah, I would love to.
Good, good. What does it look like?
It would be a children's book, or it would be uh, a mixture of editorial and imagery because I love art history and um, I love having context for stories. And so looking at the reason behind the beauty of, I don't know, it's
Okay.
so broad. It does, I don't know.
And I would, if I was working with you, I would ask you to imagine a child opening that book and being utterly absorbed by it. And that is the engine that drives the
So the
goal.
intention, it's the
It's so
the
important.
feelings you want to get.
Feelings are really, really important because if you can get that feeling going, you can only exist in one feeling at a time, and therefore your anxiety's gone, your fear's gone, you're excited, you're driven, you're motivated, and then you become focused, you become confident, and you become motivated as well. And imagination plays a really big part in who you are going to be when you age, who you are going to be. Now, I do use the term theoretically because I have an online training course. I don't teach in medical schools anymore. I've gone online for everybody or anybody who's interested. Oh, and just to say, if there are any paramedics, if there are any carers, if there are anybody working for charities, my course is free. Everybody else pays and funds those who perhaps need it more and won't be able to pay for it. It's kind of important. And I think it's important to share as well. So where was I going with that? Yeah, and no, lost my thread.
Um, I think, picturing what you said, picturing yourself when you age, for a lot of people
Yeah,
in our community and a lot of our readers, there's a lot of demonization around aging, especially in this space, because everyone views it as the elephant in the room that is instead of the it's like a bad thing that's going to stomp on you one day.
yeah.
Aging
I
and
can, I
disease.
absolutely, thank you for bringing me back to my point. I
Yeah.
absolutely understand that because when I was no longer a professor and no longer a practitioner, there is the question of who are you going to be? Well, I already knew because I'd planned it. I was going to go back to my original love to art. I was going to go back to the things that I always wanted to do. I prepared. I started to get excited about it. The joy of being able to dress differently, to behave differently, to engage with the world differently. You see, the thing is, if you don't decide who you are going to be when you get older, society will decide for you. And I don't particularly like the picture that's painted for older women. I much prefer to be myself, to be the best version of myself, the healthiest version of myself. And one of the things about aging well, it's about being continuously interested and curious and wanting to learn and wanting to explore and have conversations. Because I don't know about you, I know some very old 30-year-olds. I know some very young 70-year-olds. You can ossify at a very early age if you stop bringing in new influence into your life. And it's really important to keep challenging yourself, whether it's with language or whatever it might be, to keep questioning and above all, to get up every morning and have some fun. That's
Mm.
part of aging well.
So,
Joy.
so what does fun mean? Because I think as we get older, a lot of people, the definition changes. And I think in part, I wonder, and I want to know your perspective from the mind, if that's because we assume it has to. Like if we assume
Yeah.
we don't have any more capabilities or we have more physical limitations, oh, this must mean that I can't if. So
We know that has changed. The research tells us that has changed. There was a time when they said, well, automatically your bones are going to become problematic and your muscles are going to, well, use it or lose it. I mean, that is absolutely critical in terms of how you age well and how you go on to develop. And the other thing is to always ensure that you're not trying to be young. You're trying to be the best version of you now, because you're the youngest you'll ever be now. Tomorrow you'll be one day older.
it's true. Technically speaking, that's true. So, um, in this, I want to double back to this space between wake and right before sleep. Is there a power for everyone here listening to be like, wow, this on my own, I could literally during this time have a mantra or is that the time to have your vision and
Yeah,
just marinate on it and think about it? Because in theory, it's more likely to come to pass if you're in a certain brain state.
totally. Totally. It's really easy to learn self-hypnosis, and there's a free workshop on my course. I'll start that again. It's really early, really, I obviously don't want to say it. It's really easy to learn self-hypnosis, and I've got a free workshop on my website. However, those moments between sleeping and waking in the morning, they're called the hypnagogic state, and between waking and sleeping at night, I've got that the wrong way around. Hypnopompic is in the morning, hypnagogic is when you go to sleep. So, in the morning, you can give yourself a suggestion. It is incredibly powerful, but we do it anyway. We automatically give ourselves a suggestion before we're fully awake, but we don't realize we're doing it. And we don't realize how negative the messages we are giving to ourselves. Nature abhors a vacuum. And if you don't give yourself a positive suggestion about your mindset and your mood first thing in the morning, whatever it is that's bothering you will open that door, come in, and that's how you spend the day. And the same goes at night about thinking, some people chew over things that they think didn't go particularly right during that day. If when you go to bed at night, you go, do you know what? Wasn't the best. However, I saw my first daffodil this morning. You know, Going into sleep with that mindset means you process information better. And then when you wake in the morning, you wake more positive again. So if there's any takeaway from this particular little conversation we have, it's use those moments just before you wake fully and just before you go to sleep to give yourself something positive.
Because at the end of the day, it, as you said, it creates more focus on the good. It increases your confidence that things will go right and that you can do the things you want to do. And it most importantly increases your motivation to keep seeking out those positive thoughts and those positive
Totally.
behaviors.
And then that becomes a habit. And when it becomes a habit, it's like wanting a red car or wishing to get pregnant. The moment you have that decision, you see red cars everywhere or you see pregnant women everywhere. We are incredibly keyed into confirmation. And if you, in the morning, you say it's going to be a good day, well, you're going to look for the bits that are going to work. And then that becomes a wonderful feedback that goes through from there on. Hypnosis, self-hypnosis is really, really good practice, but you don't have to make it complex. You don't have to make it long-winded. The reason I started the Hypno SOS podcast was during COVID, and frontline workers contacted me and said, I don't have any time to deal with what's going on in the hospital. And I said, okay, well, these are 5 minutes long. Lock yourself in the bathroom. So these are
Mm.
very short little moments called things like dealing with toxic people or relaxation or all sorts of different subjects. But the main thing is, don't think it takes a long time. It can be done quickly. And ultimately, with good hypnosis, whether it's a clinical practitioner or whether it's yourself, the only person who's making suggestions to you is you, and you do it already.
So I have one more question for you. What are in your entire career of teaching this, and you've done science on it, you've done the podcast, everything, what do you tell yourself and what has worked for you when it comes to feeling joyful, looking for fun, and, you know, feeling like you've lived a good life? What has been your biggest mindset shift going on your
Do you
own
know what?
hypnosis journey?
That's a super question. I think for me, is if you can't find the joy, be the joy.
So, is that fake it till you make it? Even if, what if you're
Yeah, it is.
sad and
But
if you
remember I
want to,
said, what if you're sad? Allow it. You know, this is not about always being happy. This is not about always, it's about making the best of every situation that you can. There are some really dark days and there are some really unpleasant things going on. And if you wish to doom scroll, it is your choice. But recognize that ultimately you can make the world better. You can be somebody who brings joy. You can hook up with other people who do the same. You can find your community. And it's important to be excited by your life and find something that excites you, find something that gives you joy. And if you don't know what it is, go and see a good clinical hypnosis practitioner and they will help you find it.
all right, all right. Woo! So many, I, I hope you join us again because I feel there are so many different routes we could talk about hypnosis with, but I think this was a great introduction to it, and I really, really enjoy what you said and how you broke down the end goal of hypnosis. It's not, it's not something that you do to escape your life. It's something you do to figure out what you want with life. And I think when it comes to longevity and aging, it's important because you have to see the end goal. Life is, we hope life is long. So how do you see that life going? That's amazing.
It's been a real joy talking to you. And I just wanted to say one thing. I found your newsletter. Somebody else recommended it to me. I subscribe. I love it, and I tell all my friends about it. So yeah, I've had fun too. Thank you very much, Erin.
That means the world. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too.